Today, we're going to have a chat about TikTok's new dynamic showcase ads. I'm also going to run you through how to set it up on Woocommerce and how to have it print you money. For those of you that aren't familiar with how this works, it's very similar to the retargeting ads on Facebook, which always seem to do well. I was setting this up a while ago and I found that it was quite challenging. There wasn't a lot of information available on how to pull through your content IDs and so on. It might sound very advanced if you're new to this, but don't worry guys, I'm gonna run you through it step by step. Follow my steps and you'll be good. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Armand. I'm the resident paid media specialist here at Tecbot. And with that being said, let's jump right into it. First things first, let's jump back into the back end of the website, and we're going to go ahead and install Google Tag Manager. We're going to be using Tag Manager for this entire setup, so bear with me. I'll run you through everything step by step, and everything should work the way you want it to at the end of this. First of all, we're going to go and install a plugin. The plugin is called Google Tag Manager for WordPress. So the reason we do it this way is because this plugin allows you to push through certain data layers that you really need. So once you go and you install this plugin, it's literally called GTM4WP. Go ahead and install that and open up the settings. The first thing you want to go ahead and do is to activate your Google Tag Manager using the ID. Go through to your Tag Manager setup and you'll see here in the right hand side, this is your ID. I've already done this step. You'll still have to do it, but you can copy this, go back to your website and paste that in here. Make sure that your container code is set to on, and you can go ahead and press save. The next step is also super important. We're going to go over to the basic data tab and you're going to make sure that you've ticked all of these items. So to explain to you guys what's happening here is that this is all of the information that we are pushing through to Tag Manager. They are known as data layers, and we're going to allow Tag Manager to see all of this information, and then we can use that information to send it back to TikTok. So go ahead and tick all of these and hit save changes. Now we can go over to the Tag Manager and see if everything is working. So once you're back in your Tag Manager, the first thing I want you to do is to go and install a template. Go over on the left hand side down to the bottom at templates. Once you're in here, go to tag templates, click search gallery and look for TikTok. Make sure that you use the one by TikTok. So here it is. This is the one you're looking for, TikTok Pixel by TikTok. You can go ahead and click on that and add it to your workspace. Once we've done that, you'll see it pops up right over here. Make sure everything's working, and how we're going to do this is you're going to hit preview. This will open up Tag Assistant, which allows you to see if everything's working correctly. This URL is going to be your website's URL, and in this case, we have just used a test website. You can go ahead and hit connect, and it will open up your website. Next thing you want to do is open one of the products. So in this case, we've got two example products here. I'm going to click on men's pants, open that up, and go into my Tag Assistant. So on your summary on the left hand side, go ahead and click on men's pants, click window loaded and have a look at the data layer. Cool. So this is working exactly how we want it to. Essentially, this is all the information that plugin has helped you push through. And there's a specific thing we're looking for, which in this case is denoted by post ID. So it's super important that you guys understand this. Essentially what it is it's a content ID. Content IDs allow TikTok to understand which item the customer has viewed on your website, and they can accordingly retarget them. So we're going to use this post ID as that content ID, which is unique to every single product. Now that we know this is all working, we can jump back into the tag manager and continue our setup. The first thing I want you to do is go ahead and set up the actual TikTok pixel. In order to do that, you're going to go into your events manager, and you're going to go set up web events. You're going to create a new pixel. You're going to click TikTok pixel, go ahead, manually install the code, and very importantly, select custom code. So Event Builder does allow you to set these things up super easily. The one challenging thing is pulling through those content IDs, which in order for your retargets to work, they are super important, especially when you or your client may have a lot of items. Let's say they have 1,000 items that are kind of unrelated. You don't want someone to be viewing product X and they're seeing something completely different in their ad, completely unrelated, because TikTok doesn't actually know which product they viewed. So we can go ahead with this custom code. And the next thing that's going to happen is TikTok is going to give you your pixel, which you need to install. So while this loads, there we go. So go ahead and copy this pixel code, go back into your tag manager and create a new tag. We're going to click tags, new, and give this a name. So in this case, I'm just going to name this TikTok pixel. You can name this whatever you want, especially if you have different pixels, you might want to give them a name. And then on the right hand side, scroll down to custom HTML. You're going to go ahead and you're going to go paste your entire pixel in there. Now we need to set up a trigger. A trigger basically defines when that's going to fire, and we want this pixel to trigger on all pages. This is something that Tag Manager is already set up for you, so it's nice and easy to do. You can just go ahead and select that. Now we can hit save. The next thing we want to do is we want to set up a variable. Now this is where the data layers come in, so bear with me. Go on the left hand side to variables, look for your user defined variable and create a new one. So in this case, what we're going to name this is we're going to name it DLV, which stands for data layer variable, and I'm going to name mine item ID. So now keep in mind, this naming convention doesn't necessarily change how things will work. It's just so that you understand and can keep track of all of your different data layer variables. So on the right hand side under variable configuration, we're going to go ahead and choose data layer variable. Now we need to go back to our tag assistant and go and copy the exact name that you want to use. So in this case, our post ID, and most of the time it'll be the same for you, is a unique identifier that is linked to each and every product. That corresponds with a number in the back of your Woocommerce website, depending on the post ID for that product. So go and copy that post ID name, go back into your tag manager, and under your data layer variable name, go paste exactly that. We can go ahead, don't worry about the data layer version too much. That's a little bit more complex and not important now. Go ahead and hit save. And cool. Now we have to make sure that this is actually working. How we're going to do that is you're going to hit preview again, and it should open up the tag assistant. I'm going to go onto the website tab that it's opened up. And you can see already that the TikTok pixel has fired, seeing as it's set to fire on all pages. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go view that same product. Go back into your tag assistant and let's check out the window loaded summary. Go over to variables, and there it is. The data layer variable item ID, that's the one we just created, is 1764, and as you saw earlier, that corresponds with the post ID. So cool, that's working, and we can move on to the next step. We're going to go back into Tag Manager and create a new tag once again. In this case, we're going to call this TikTok view content, Sorry. And you can name this whatever you want. This is just a good way to keep track of it. And essentially what this means that we want to retarget customers who have viewed content on your website, who have gone and interacted with the product but haven't purchased. Those are the guys we want to be retargeting and showing these ads. Once we go in here and we select our TikTok pixel template, which we installed earlier, it's going to ask us for a pixel ID. In order to retrieve this ID, let's go back into our event manager. You can go ahead here and continue with everything. Let's complete setup, and there we go. We're back to the dashboard, and you'll see on the top left hand side here is your ID. Copy that ID, go back into your tag manager and hit paste. The trigger event, as I discussed just now, is view content. Let's leave these parameters as is, and very importantly, this is where we're going to enter our content ID. So in this case, it's a dynamic variable that's always going to change based on what that person has viewed, and that's why we created the data layer variable. Under your content ID section, click the little icon and look for DLV item ID. Essentially what's going to happen is every time view content is triggered, it's going to go and populate the content ID for TikTok with that dynamic variable. Scroll down to the trigger, and in this case, it's quite an easy one. We're going to create a new trigger and we're going to set this to window loaded. You can hit trigger configuration and window loaded pops up. Now, importantly, we don't want view content to fire on each and every page, because if someone visits your home page or an About Us page, they aren't necessarily interacting with one of your e-commerce items. We need to limit that. So how do we do that? We go and look at what the URL is for a product and we limit it to those URLs. In this case, we're going to say some window loaded events. We're going to choose page URL, and we need to give that what it contains. So in this case, I'm going to go to my website. It might be different for your website. It most likely is, but go through to your website, go onto any product page and have a look at the URL. In this case, we can see that it's denoted with our domain and then /product/. Then this piece, men's pants, would change every time. So we're going to go ahead and select this front section up to product/. We're going to go back into our tag manager and populate that in this tab. Now we know that this will only fire as a view content event with window loaded on those URLs. Go ahead and hit save. Let's save this tag setup, and we're pretty much done. Now that we've set everything up, you can go ahead and preview, or even let's rather submit. Let's publish this because we're confident that it's correct. And now we can go ahead and test. What I want you guys to do is let's go into Google's extension store and look for the TikTok Pixel helper. So I've come over to the Google extension store, which you can just simply type in your browser, and I've searched for TikTok Pixel helper. I already have it installed on my computer, but you can just go ahead and add this as an extension. What this allows us to do is to go onto a website and really test whether all the TikTok pixels are firing as they should and which events they are sending back. Let's go over to the website and see if what we've done is working. All right, now that we are pretty much done and checking if everything's working, I've come over to the home page on our website, and you can see that I have pinned this extension so that we can see exactly what's going on. You will see this warning, and essentially this is just because we haven't installed it directly onto the website, but we've rather installed the TikTok Pixel using Tag Manager. you'll see on this page, we've triggered a page view. So what's super important here is that we don't want a content view to fire because the person hasn't actually interacted with an item. So this is exactly what we're looking for. Let's go ahead and view one of the products and see if this is actually working. I'm gonna go ahead and click men's t-shirt and just keep an eye on this TikTok pixel helper. It does take a little bit of time as all the windows and containers are loading, and boom, 2 events have fired, and that's exactly what we're looking for. These are just the same warnings. You can read through them. They do tell you can ignore them if you use Tag Manager. And here's the important one: view content with a nice little green tick, and very importantly, the content ID 1761. Essentially, what this means is that TikTok is seeing a view content event and they're able to see exactly which product the customer viewed. Once we create a catalog on TikTok, we can retarget them if we have matching content IDs, and hopefully this is really going to help you out. If you guys would like to see how we set up the catalog within TikTok and how we make sure the content IDs match, feel free to join in our next video, and thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for tuning into our video. I'm George, the founder here at Tecbot. We're a proudly African agency that creates beautiful and functional digital touchpoints for businesses around the world. Stay tuned as we release new videos in the space of design, development, and marketing, and be sure to follow us on our socials and stay up to date on our website. Thanks again.